morning, everyone. It's Sarah, or should I say, live with Sarah. The other day, someone asked me how did it feel to be a celebrity. I'm like, I'm not a celebrity, believe me. Well, good morning, and I want to welcome everybody to our live video chat here on the Posh Pooch Designs Facebook page. And if you're seeing it over on YouTube, it's about 30 minutes late because what I do is, good morning, Donna Michelle. I see you've already popped in, and Marlene. Good morning, Dana. Well, what I do is I run it live on our Facebook page at Posh Pooch Designs every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. and that's Mountain Time, so you'll need to check where you're at so that you're on at the same time. But don't panic if you miss me, because afterwards I always do a little bit of a tweak and then I send it over to YouTube so that people over there can watch it also. So when you're viewing it on YouTube, it's not live. And someone asked me the other day, you say hello to all these ladies and you never say hello to me. And it's because it was on YouTube. And so I'm going to say hello to all my YouTube fans and subscribers. Hello and thank you for being a part of Posh Pooch Designs. Now let me check over here and see who I didn't say hello to. Good morning, Alicia and Crystal, Kimberly and Jennifer and Kimberly Coons. I'm so glad you're all here, because I couldn't do this without you. And I tell you that every week, that this is so much fun for me to get to do a live video. I'm so glad that Facebook decided to do this. And I'm also really happy that I can shoot it over to YouTube, because some people are on Facebook and some people are on YouTube and some people are on both and some people aren't. So anyway, you know, my goal in life is for everyone to crochet and for everyone to love yarn. And you know what? Even if you're not an expert crocheter, you're still an artist. All right. Well, are we ready to clink in? Here we go. Clink. You'll notice I've got my Posh Pooch Designs cup today. And the truth of the matter is I was going to use a different cup, but I hit it on the counter and I cracked it. And I have granite countertops. It didn't bust, but I heard creak as I was taking it out of the dishwasher. And I hit that thing right on the counter, right on the edge, and it just went crack. And it was one of my fun Chihuahua cups. So I guess I'm going to have to go shopping for a new Chihuahua cup. Like I need another one. Well, anywho, I see a lot of you are saying good morning. It is a beautiful morning here in Colorado. It was 72 degrees yesterday. It's supposed to be about 75 here in Parker. A little hotter in Denver proper. But it's just been a beautiful, beautiful August. Now, I have heard it's going to be getting hotter. My husband flew out to Dallas yesterday on a business trip. And he called me and said, it's so hot here. It's 100 degrees and it's humid. We're not used to that anymore. So I feel sorry for all of you that have to deal with that kind of heat. Well, my table today is just covered. I hit my light. Is just covered in projects and yarn and ideas and what's happening this week. So let's jump right into it. Well, the first question that I got, which has nothing to do with crochet, is why do I always use a short straw in my coffee? And there's two reasons. And I know this has nothing to do with crochet, but she asked, so I'm going to answer her question. Okay, the first reason is it keeps me from getting lipstick on my cup. Because sometimes, even though you put them through the dishwasher, that greasy, whatever they put in that colory stay lipstick, it comes off. And it gets on your cup, but then when you go to put it through the dishwasher, it doesn't come off. Hi, Carolina. I didn't see you sneak in there. The other reason is when I went to the dentist, I guess it's been about a year ago, she told me, she said, you know, I have a lot of porcelain teeth. When I started going through menopause, my teeth did this little thing where it decided to do some crumbling. And so a lot of my teeth are implants, unfortunately, the 4 front ones and then a couple in the back. Anywho, it doesn't matter. But she said to keep the coffee stains off your teeth, drink your teas and coffees with a straw. And so I have a whole bunch of different colors. My granddaughters love them. And so, anywho, that answers that question as to why I use a straw in my coffee cup. I cut them in half because if I use the tall straw, it's too tall. So I just cut them in half. They last twice as long. Okay, that answered that silly question. Let's see. Good morning, Rita and Marlene. I'm glad to see you here. All righty. So one of the questions that I got this week, she said, this may sound like a silly question to you. And so the first thing I want to tell you is there are no silly questions. Believe me, I've asked a lot of silly questions myself. And you know what? When it comes to crochet, everybody does things in different ways and different techniques because crochet is an ever-growing art and it's constantly changing. And so if you do something a certain way, someone may do it a little bit different. And you have to do what's more comfortable for you. For instance, holding a crochet hook. Some people hold it like a pencil. Some people hold it like, you know, a knife. Some people hold it completely different. You have to do what's most comfortable for you. Okay, so the silly question she asked me is, when I'm crocheting, is what I'm doing a crochet stitch or is it a crochet pattern? And a crochet stitch pattern. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I see it. Tina Louise popped in and Terry, glad to see you. Well, let me click over to my other cam. I'm going to pop on my glasses and then we're going to talk a little bit about stitches. Now you'll notice I have just a simple washcloth in a circle. And this is one we did back a couple months back. That is my tie-dyed washcloth. Super easy pattern. And so you can see there's double crochets, spaces, and basically a crochet stitch are the basic stitches that we learned. You learn a single crochet, you learn a double crochet, a half double crochet, a chain, a triple. Those are basic crochet stitches. And when we take those stitches and we put them into a pattern, here is a pattern of one of the hats that I did this week. We've got double crochet stitches and we've got front post stitches. Putting them together like this is called a pattern. But there's a difference between a pattern and a crochet stitch pattern. All right, so these are basic stitches, double crochets and front post and single crochet stitches. We put them all together to make a pattern. But if you'll notice, this is what you call the waffle stitch. And the reason it's called a waffle stitch is because it looks like a waffle. And this is a pattern we're going to be putting out next week. This is just a test, but I wanted you to see this is actually called a waffle stitch pattern because we took crochet stitches, we stitched them in a pattern to come up with this look. So really there's three ways of looking at it. You've got basic crochet stitches, you've got a pattern using crochet stitches, and then you have crochet stitches that are worked into a pattern, or basically a crochet stitch pattern. I hope that isn't confusing for you. I'm going to go back through it one more time. When we first started learning to crochet, we learned to chain, we learned to double crochet, and we learned about spaces and skipping, all of those simple things. Those are crochet stitches. Then we learned how to read a pattern or how to work a pattern. And we took those stitches that we learned and made them into a pattern, like the double crochet, the front post, single stitches into a pattern. This is a hat crochet pattern. All right, so then we learned that you can take all of those stitches and work them into a crochet stitch pattern. And another example would be the crocodile stitch. The crocodile stitch is made up of stitches we already know how. It's just where you put them. And it's the same thing with this waffle stitch. So you have crochet stitches, you have a pattern, you have basic crochet stitches, you have a pattern, and then you have crochet stitch pattern. And a lot of patterns that are a crochet stitch pattern, And they're all, both a crochet pattern and a crochet stitch pattern are made up of stitches that we know. That's why I say that if you can learn the basics of crochet, you can do just about anything with crochet. Once you learn to chain and to single crochet, double crochet, half double, triple, all of those stitches, and then learning the abbreviations and learning how to make all of those stitches, then you can do just about anything in crochet, because patterns and stitch patterns are made up of all of those that we've already learned. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that answered your question, the nice lady that asked that question. And the truth is, it's not anything that really, you know, matters or changes anything, but it gives you an understanding. You know, just like I said, the crocodile stitch looks really complicated, but if you break it down stitch by stitch, you'll see that it's really just a combination of where you're putting your double crochets and your chains and other stitches in order to form that beautiful crocodile stitch pattern. All right. All right. Tina Louise says, I'm from PA and North Carolina, but want to be Westlake, Colorado, or Oregon. You know, it is so gorgeous up here. I've said this before. I was born in Iowa, but I was raised in Oklahoma, and it was so hot and humid in the summer. And the truth of the matter is, where I live here in Colorado, we've hardly even had our air conditioner on. We're high enough up in altitude that we really, and we don't have, and it's called upper desert because we don't have as much humidity, and it's really nice. I mean, it's just, I always say everyone should move to Colorado, but then, you know, everyone moved here, it would be crowded. So I do love living here. Okay, the other question I got this week, actually it was like 2 weeks ago, is do I keep a crochet journal? And the answer to that question is yes! I am so over-organized, but I'm going to show you a couple of things that I do that you can do that are very inexpensive, okay? The first thing is I purchased this kind of a notebook. And I used to use spirals. As a matter of fact, when my mom passed away, my mom always kept what she called a joy journal. And she refused to write anything negative in it. She would write wonderful things like, Sarah smiled at me today, or one of the grandkids did this today, or I got a card from someone today, and this happened, it made me happy, and she called it her joy journal. Well, she wrote everything in those spiral bounds, and it's such a blessing because I have about 20 of them, and occasionally I read through them. All right, so these journals are on sale at like Walmart, I think this time of year for like, what, 59 cents or something? As a matter of fact, I think they're 29 cents. I can't remember. And I like this kind because when you open it up and you write, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, if you're left-handed, the spiral's right here and it's in your way. And then you turn the page, and if you're right-handed, the spiral's on this side and it's in your way. And so I like to buy these. I write down all my pattern design thoughts and ideas. I also write down happy thoughts, anything that will brighten your day. And what you need to do is determine that you're not going to write anything in there that's negative. And then a year from now, go back and read through it, and it will just cheer you up like you won't believe. Okay, now, another thing that I do is there's a website. Let me pull this up here. And you can print off a calendar. So I can get this so that it's lit up. Like this. And I print them on the front and the back. So it takes 6 sheets of paper. Hardly nothing, right? And a lot of times, I always print off, let me show you, when I'm doing a live video, I always print off notes. You'll notice there's stuff on the back as well. I use the fronts and the backs of my work. So if I've got some that I've just printed on the front, I might print the calendar on the back because I don't want to waste the paper. Okay, so then and I make sure that it's the big squares. And what I do is every month I write ahead 3 months. And so what happens is, like for August, I'm writing designs for August. I'm going over the August designs, September designs, and then I'm looking to see what I can do for October, or September, October, November, and December. And what I do is I look ahead about 3 months, and I also jot notes ahead. But it's nice and big, and you can use this as well for your joy journal. You can Say, for instance, you purchased a pattern and you didn't care for it. Write it down. Don't purchase that pattern or that style, or contact the designer. Remind yourself to contact the designer. Or if you went and did something, or you found some bargains or something like that, you can write that down. And the reason those things are fun to do is because every year at the same time, you'll go, oh, I checked Walmart was resetting their yarn this time last year. I wonder if they are this year, which they are. And I've got some things to show you about Walmart. So anyway, I do keep a journal. These are cheap. These are free off the internet. And the other thing I did is I took all of my calendars and I put them together on a sheet. This way I can refer back, and I added some fun little things, some little clip art just for me. And this is on the blog. You can click on there. You can even copy and paste it off the blog if you want to. And it gives me a look ahead because I am an ultra planner. I'm not a control freak. But when it comes to my crochet, yarn sales, and a lot of those things, I like to keep track of it. And another thing about keeping what I call a joy journal is it helps us learn not to be negative. And, you know, if you downloaded a free pattern and you really, really loved it, write that down, because then you'll know, go back and check out other patterns by that designer. And another thing is shoot that designer a thank you note. You would be amazed what that will do for another crochet pattern designer, because, you know, a lot of us, like me, I happen to get the joy of working at home. I don't have to go out to a job every day. I'm retired from that. And so this is my life, and I totally enjoy designing patterns. But let me tell you, when I get an email or a message on Facebook that says, thank you, I love this pattern, and post pictures, it makes my day so much greater. It just makes my whole day when I see someone post a picture of something they made off my pattern. And I don't mind when you make alterations. You want to make it longer, bigger, and any colors that you want. I love that, because you're using your creative genius to come up with new ideas of patterns that I've written. And another thing is I try to keep my patterns somewhat easy, because I want to see what you can do with them. And so anyway, I really want to encourage you, go spend $1 or whatever, because I do have these at the Dollar Tree or dollar stores, and copy off some calendars, stick them together just like this, grab you a pen and stick it on there. And I do encourage you to use pen, not pencil. And what I do is I'll write it with black or blue ink. And then, like, when I'm going back through and looking to make changes, I might use a red or a green or another color to draw attention to it. And I'll draw a circle. I was going to show you my one I'm doing for this year, but I've got a lot of ideas and plans for the coming months, and so I don't want you to see them yet. And so this is the one I picked up for next year, for 2019. So maybe once we get into January and we talk a little more about the Joy Journal, because that's when I'm really going to start pushing it. But I wanted you to, one of the things that happens is this time of year, okay? School's starting. Halloween's coming. Of course, that's fall. Also, Thanksgiving, cold weather, Christmases and Hanukkahs and Kwanzaa celebrations, the New Year's, snow, and then there's Valentine's Day. And before you realize it, all these big events, and there's lots of family holidays and plans in between, and it can get away from you. And you can get totally frustrated because you haven't made your plans. So that's why I take these. I jot stuff down in here. I scratch stuff out. But I never use pencil because I don't want to erase it. I just want to draw a line through it. That way, if I change my mind, I go, oh, that was a good idea. Maybe I will use that or alter that or change the yarn I was going to use or something like that. Alrighty? So anyway, cheap way to do a joy journal. All right, so let's talk about some yarn fun. Well, I decided to stop by a store. It's called Tuesday Morning. Does anybody else have a Tuesday morning store around you? Well, if you do, or if you don't, it reminded me of going into like a TJ Maxx or something like a Home Goods, but it had a lot more, no, there's no clothing. It's just kind of houseware and fun stuff. Well, while I was in there, I walked down this one particular aisle, and guess what I found? Bernat Pop. Bernat Pop. And I was so excited. And the reason is I was looking for both of these two colors, but they're discontinued. And the price was $2.99. So this is a $7.99 yarn that I got for $2.99, and they're all the discontinued colors. If you go on my Facebook page and look to my last Instagram post, or look on the Instagram post on Instagram, you'll see a picture. They had a huge 4-foot section of yarn. And the other yarn I picked up 2 of each of these, and I'm so excited about that. The other yarn I picked up was Bernat, oops, knocked over something. It's called Bernat Little Tots. And they had lots of different colors, and these were $2.49. And they're super duper soft. And so I got the pink and the white because I have a project. I have a project that I'm going to redo a breast cancer awareness pattern that I've done in the past and make a video for it. And so I picked up several of these for that project, but I was so excited. I go into this store once every couple of months, and I'm usually looking for games or things to play with my granddaughter because we love to play games. And I walked down that aisle and I was like, oh my goodness, they have Bernat Pops. And they're all the discontinued colors. Hi, Michelle. I see you just popped in there. Is that Sandrine? That's a pretty name. So anyway, I didn't want to miss saying hello to everybody. There's Dawn Davis. Hello. Tammy. So I'm so glad you all are here. If I missed your name, I'm so sorry. I try to get in there and see everybody's name. Sometimes I get so excited talking about yarn and patterns that I forget to say your name. Okay, so the other thing I did was I went back to Walmart, and they did have a lot of really neat stuff on clearance. I got some more of the ice cream yarns, and I had gone to a different Walmart than I usually go to. And the other Walmart that I went to was down over towards Aurora. I live in Parker. It's like the next city up. Well, they had already reset their Red Heart, or their yarn aisles. And they had pretty much the same setup that my store does, only a tiny bit less. My store has a good amount of yarn. So one thing that I did is I noticed that they now carry the Red Heart Ombre. And these are absolutely gorgeous. See those colors? And what they do is within one color, it's shaded darker, then lighter, then darker, then lighter. And I was so excited to see this because I re-released my pattern. And I'm going to show you this pattern. Let me move my coffee so I don't knock it over. All right, so what it is this is the original one I did. And this is the Spearmint Ombre. See how it goes from light to dark? And I did this pattern yesterday, and it is really, really easy. You just do the edging for the pocket, and then this is all V-stitches, which are a combination of 2 double crochets with a chain in between. And you do as many rows as needed, and of course I give you that row count. And then you end up with doing the end again like this. You flip those ends up, and you've got pockets in the bottom of your scarf. Well, I wanted to re-release the pattern, so I picked up a coral. This is absolutely gorgeous yarn. It goes from super light to super dark in coral. Oh, it is gorgeous. And so now I have 2 Christmas presents that are already made. But that's a pattern. I had released the pattern last year when the ombres first came out. And then I did the video, updated the pattern, and added some extra pictures. I made it a photo tutorial. And so that is out there yesterday. All right, let me plop those down there. And the other 2 new patterns that we did this week is the front post beanie, and this one is in cotton, and this one is in worsted weight number 4. So you can do it in cotton or worsted weight. And I wanted you to see, this one looks bigger, but it's actually the same size. It's just the way the striping looks because I used 3 different colors opposed to using 2 colors. So It looks different. This pattern will fit about a 20 to 22 inch head. If you want it to be a little bit smaller, this is stitched with an I hook. You can go with an H hook if you want it to go a little bit smaller. Then I decided, I already had this pattern ready to go. It's kind of funny the way it happened. And so this pattern has 3 sizes. It's got the infant size, toddler size, and child size. And it's pretty much the same. It's just, you know, written out for smaller sizes. And these are great warm hats if you do giving them to hospitals and donating. All of a sudden I forgot what I was saying. Donating to hospitals, because it's just a basic beanie. You can add buttons and flowers and ribbons and bows or whatever you want to it. They're just basic beanies with the front post, just to give it a little bit of texture. And those are 2 separate videos, but I hooked them together. So if you watch one, you'll see up at the top a little tag. You can click on it and go to the other one on both of those. So anyway, that is what's happening this week at Posh Pooch Designs. Lots of yarn, lots of fun stuff. And I've got this time of year, the month of August, I kind of see it as kind of a transition month, because we're going from, everybody's finishing off their vacations. Some schools have started, some aren't starting for 3 or 4 weeks. So there's a transition. Everybody's getting their school supplies. And I do have a dry throat, but anyway, I do have a pattern. You know, we've been doing the jar cozies, and I do have a pattern that I'm going to release in a week or so, just getting it tested one more time, making sure it works, so that it can be a nice gift for a teacher or, you know, someone you want to give it to. But it's just really, really cute. It's just a back to school jar. They can put their pens and pencils in it, or rulers, or whatever they want to. And I have also, because someone said, well, do you really want to put a glass jar in a classroom? And so I got online, and you can buy plastic jars. And I didn't know this. And so I thought, well, I'm going to see what I can find. And they do have them in the 16 ounce, and they are plastic. And they're pretty much not meant for real canning. So that's kind of a good idea. So, and you can also substitute a plastic container of any kind. And one that works really good is an ice cream container. The Ben & Jerry's and the ones that are those small sizes, those work really good for crocheting around and making them into pencil containers. So, and the way the jar cozies work, they're really stretchy, so they fit really nicely on those. Guess I need to eat some more ice cream. So anyway, let me pop here and look through some of these. Hi, Susie. I didn't see you come in. Have you ever seen reading room vest? Looks like your scarf there, but wider to fit your shoulders. I have not. I'll have to check into that and see what that is. Well, the thing with the Walmart, Patty says her Walmart never has a sale. The thing with Walmart is they do what's called a reset, where they reset their modulars. And what it is they, with the yarn, they're clearance out all the ones they're not going to carry anymore. And that doesn't mean the yarn companies aren't making them anymore. Walmart's just not going to carry them anymore. And so they clearance those out, and then they just reset with new products. And plus Walmart's coming out with their own yarns. And so where I found the clearance on this one was not in the yarn aisle. They had, back towards where the lawn and garden is, they had a couple of aisles that were just marked clearance. And you might check there also. Sometimes they don't leave it in the fabric and crafts department. They have an area that's just for clearance, and so they'll take all that yarn over and stick it over there. And they're not really good at marking it because they don't mark every piece at Walmart. So you may have to take it over and scan it at one of those scanners to make sure, because that's what I did with some of the ice cream yarn. Only the white and the pink and white were marked. No, it was the pink and yellow and the pink and white that were marked. All the other ones were not marked. And so I scanned them to make sure that they, because, you know, Walmart has those stand-up scanners. Make sure you do that. Okay, Dawn says she makes them to donate to hospitals. That's a good idea. I did have a pattern. She's talking about a tiny gown. I did have a pattern that I was going to do with the tiny gowns. And the one hospital that I was talking to said that they don't need those. And so I didn't finish that. Although mommies that have preemie babies, the gowns work great because you don't have to fiddle with getting their legs, teeny little bitty legs, in sleepers. And plus they're hard to find when your baby's a preemie. And the gowns are nice because you can just slip them up, change their diaper, and slip them back down. So anyway, Kimberly says her Walmart's moving everything around. They do that. They do the resets. And then you have to go and figure out where everything is. And one thing my Walmart does that just drives me bonkers is every time I find a product that I like, it disappears. And then they don't carry it anymore. Anyway, that's typical of all stores, not just Walmart. So anyhow, go and see if your Walmart's doing a reset. Check the back of the store there where they have all the clearance. So yes, that's another thing. Dawn says that use the app on your phone so that they can price check. Yes, that's another thing. And also, some of the things on Walmart, you can order them online and they'll ship it to the store and you don't have to pay shipping. And actually, the last time I had something shipped to the house, I didn't have to pay shipping. But anyway, they do have a lot of the clearance yarns, and they did. Now, I say did. I don't know if they still do, on the Walmart online. And that's another good way to get a bargain and not have to pay the shipping. I don't know. Kimberly says BJS. I'm sorry, I don't know what BJS is. Oh, Edith says she sends them overseas. I was involved in a thing where we were sending hats to, I can't remember what it was for. But they said, one of the things they said was that make sure you don't send them to countries that don't need them, because some of the countries are really, really hot and they're not going to wear the hats. So we have to be careful on that. Make sure you go through a good organization when you're donating. Contact your local hospitals and talk to the NICU people. And one of the organizations that I have led for years, because it has touched my family and friends of my family, is St. Jude's, because they you can call them and talk to them, and they have everything on their website, and the address is on their website, where to send them, who to contact, and they love it when you send the hats that have fun hair. In other words, like the Anna and Elsa hats with the braids. And we did some with mohawks they absolutely loved. And one thing that gets forgotten a lot are little boys. A lot of times the little girls get all the fancy bows and ribbons and stuff. And we forget that little boys like monster hats and mohawks and fun stuff like that. So don't forget the boys in this, because they like to have silly hats too. All right. Oh, okay. Big, huge store like Costco's. We don't have that one here. I don't have an AC Moore either. I so wish I had an AC Moore. Well, we don't have one here either. Mary says the Walmart she works at does not have scanners. You know, the other day when I was at Walmart, I had to walk all over that store until I found somebody that had one of those scanners. They're like, they used to be called, I can't remember, but you held them like that. I worked for Walmart for like 17 years, and you had to hold them like this and scan. Now they're little like phones. Anyway, she scanned them all for me, because and that's probably the reason, because those things are hard to find. I did see one back by the layaway department, which I don't even know if they do layaway anymore back there. I think you just pick up stuff. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today. There's nothing better than finding a good yarn bargain. So if you have a Tuesday morning, head over there and see if you can find some good bargains there. And they had a whole lot more yarn that I personally don't need or use, but it might be something that you're looking for. So, and this is the time of year to get those bargains, because if you're like me, oh yeah, the Ninja Turtles, absolutely. If you're like me, a lot of your Christmas gifts are going to be handmade. So, and it's nice to get a good bargain on some good quality yarn. Well, I'm going to let you go. I'm so glad that you all chatted with me today. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you.